All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Um, so this on this episode of the Unlimited Hangout, we're going to talk about the worst gaming company out right now, Sony, the makers of PlayStation, and how they're milking The Last of Us again. I don't know how they do it. I mean, Sony's more creative with milking The Last of Us than they are with releasing new and unique games, because this is absurd. And this is why, with all the backlash Nintendo has gotten recently with the price increases, why I said, look, the PlayStation fans need to sit this one out, right? They need to sit this one out because this nonsense. Sony, and by the way, I love the headline of this article. Sony's first PlayStation 5 exclusive of 2025 is The Last of Us. Yeah, Sony's reselling The Last of Us again, ladies and gentlemen. And I gotta talk about this because this is out of hand now. This is just out of hand. Funny enough, I thought, th- about maybe a week ago, around the time of April Fools, news came out of Sony reselling The Last of Us, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was an April Fool's thing. I thought it was just an April Fool's joke, so I paid no attention to it. Because I'm over here thinking, all right, they're just messing with PlayStation fans because this ain't gonna be resold. How many times can Sony resell the same damn game, right? But lo and behold, today, no, I'm sorry, yesterday, April 10th, it seems that news broke that Sony is reselling The Last of Us again. Hey, what up, Zink? Yeah, man, I'm here to talk about it. And here's the kicker: they're selling the complete edition for $100 fucking. Guys, place if you own a PlayStation, matter of fact, let's do some little homework, right? Let's do a little, just a little, uh, um, real quick, because how is Sony getting away with this? How many times you got to buy the same damn game? A PlayStation 3 game that was resold on the PlayStation 4, right? They remade on the PlayStation 5. This is absolutely absurd at this point, man. Absolutely absurd. And, it, all right, so I had to check something, and I guess they're releasing a controller. Yeah, this has gotten out of hand here. So for $100, and then if you want the physical edition, $110, they reselling you a game that you bought 3 generations in a row. See, this is why, the people who have the right to bitch about Nintendo is everybody but the PlayStation gamers. And this is why I was trying to point out that y'all sat there this whole generation, when Sony were the first to release games at $70, you justified it. When they increased the price of their consoles and accessories across the world, I think except for America, y'all justified it. When they released a $700 console last year with no disk drive that you got to pay for optional, and you got to be online to attach the disk drive, y'all justified it. And here we are. By the way, guys, Sony already remastered The Last of Us. Look at this on screen. The Last of Us Part 2, the game was already fucking remastered. And they're reselling it again. This time $100 for the quote unquote complete edition. It would be cheaper to buy the PlayStation 4 version of these games and just play it that way. It would be cheaper to do that. But oh wait, if I believe if you already own those versions, Sony would charge you $10 for the upgrade anyway. I mean, Sony started the price gouging. Nintendo's just finishing it. That's how I gotta put it, man. Nintendo's just finishing the job because there is no reason whatsoever oh, and let's not forget when the Last of Us remake or whatever version of The Last of Us was at the time. Let's not forget that was sold for $100. They had $100 edition in that game. So PlayStation fans who are watching this, Are you such big fans of The Last of Us that you bought it on PS3, bought it on PS4, bought the $100 version of the remake on PS5 for the first game, bought the remaster of The Last of Us 2 on the PS5, bought the original version on the PS4? I know that probably had a $200 collector's edition, and now buying the $100 version of the complete edition. Is that what y'all doing here? It's just funny. Instead of getting new games, anything unique, uh, third party games. I mean, to be fair, y'all don't buy the third party exclusives y'all got. That's why Forspoken and all that shit flopped, right? Um, so Sony's giving you nothing, and and all they got left is to resell you the same old shit. I don't understand. Listen, I don't care what anybody says. I don't think there's a debate anymore that the PlayStation 5 is the worst PlayStation ever. I'm saying it now. It's the worst console this fucking generation. All right. That's right, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you the Switch 2 is better than the PlayStation 5 already. And I'm not one who makes hot takes like that. But here's why I'm saying that. Because at least Nintendo is going to charge $80 for new fucking games. And don't get me wrong. They are selling shit like if you don't own Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Breath of the Wild, they're going to sell that shit for $80 too. But at least they're giving you new shit too. At least they're giving you the new Mario Kart and the new Donkey Kong. Sony gives you nothing. And then I love the shit posting of this headline from Engadget. Sony's first PlayStation 5 exclusive of 2025 is The Last of Us. I couldn't have made that up any better. Yo, what up, Coco Fiend? What up, man? Oh man, I hope your Friday's going well, my friend. The PS5 is the worst console ever. Zinc, this console finds new ways to prove that it sucks. I mean, if you're a hardcore PlayStation fan and you just bought everything Sony sold you this generation, you got more remasters and remakes than first party content. Oh, and by the way, the first party shit you got were shitty sequels. Y'all, I know y'all didn't like Spider-Man 2 like that. I heard it from the horse's mouth from some of the biggest PlayStation channels that it it took them a year. It took the game going to PC really for it to technically be multi-plat for them to say shit like, the game wasn't that good. I didn't like it like that. So right? And now Sony's giving you nothing. I mean, so when they do finally release that one or two exclusives that you might get, y'all gonna flip your wigs. It's gonna win Game of the Year because that's all you got. That's why Astrobot, a game y'all didn't buy, by the way, even though it won Game of the Year, it meant nothing to nobody. You could sit there and pretend it's the best thing ever. You could sit there and pretend that that the PlayStation that Astrobot is the greatest platformer, like nothing Mario's ever done. There's been no platform game in the history of gaming that's done what that shit did. But how can you talk on games you don't buy? It's so bad that let's not forget, back in January, Shohei Yoshida said, if you want new first-party games, you should support remasters. That's what these motherfuckers told you. Sony has told you guys in your face all generation why this shit sucks. And that's why I'm here. Listen, I'm here shit talking for a reason. All right? Because something's got to give. And if y'all aren't going to push back on that bullshit, I'm being resold. Like, how the fuck do you remaster The Last of Us already this generation and then resell it again? How does that make any fucking sense? Right? For $100 or $110 for the physical version. And I don't care if it comes with a steelbook, and I love steelbooks, but this is absurd. This is absolutely absurd, right? When The Last of Us remake came out, they sold that shit for $70 and it had a $100 edition, and y'all motherfuckers bought it. I don't, and this stupid ass 10-hour game. And what up, Craig Simmons? PlayStation 5 blows. And Adidas 20, thank you for joining. And by the way, guys, just you limited hangout, which means I'm hanging out with the chat, so y'all could be vocal today. But yeah, I gotta speak on this because Sony's been telling y'all all generation why this console was gonna suck, and so I don't understand how this console has any defenders at this point. As Zink said, Godfall, yeah, Godfall was mid as hell. PlayStation 5 so said, "Give me monies, give me money." Yeah, like Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, man. Uh, Give you money and they don't give you no new games. And then you got former execs saying, "If you want new first party stuff, support remasters." By the way, and Zeke has said this for years. Zeke has said this for years. This is why they wanted a live service game so badly. This is why, even though they canceled 10 of 12, right? And I think Marathon is the only one left. Might be the only multiplayer game, live service game left. That's why they wanted one so bad, so they could fund games. We've told you this. People smarter than me, like Zinc, like other Zinc has told you this. People more knowledgeable about gaming history, like Sega Man, E Rock, and Heatbot has told you this, man, and y'all didn't want to listen. And now y'all are stuck paying for the same a game. One game was already remastered, and one game was remastered, remake, re-released, and you know what I'm saying. The Last of Us, I've never seen a game that. By the way, this game only has 2 games in its whole series. Not even don't even have spin-offs that you can do collections. You know, like, at least the Uncharted games has what 5 or 6 games in it total because you got the 4 Uncharted games, and I want to say that there's a spin-off with some female leads, I think. So at least when they do a full collection, it's a set of 5 plus games. But this is 2 games, and they resold it to you over and over and over. And you're not going to convince me that that boring bullshit is better than at least what Nintendo or Xbox are doing. Not even close. And you guys got me defending fucking Nintendo, who are taking all the smoke. And don't get me wrong, I am not justifying what Nintendo's done. But this is why I said PlayStation fans sit this one out. It's not your battle. Because Sony, it didn't take Sony long. It took Sony like a week after the Switch 2 was announced to prove that they're even worse. This is absurd. Astrobot is good at copying Mario. Yeah, PS5 blows. And they had to pretend that is better than every Mario game to ever exist. And Cray Simmons says, what up to the homie Cray? Salute to every man. Zink said monies was correct verbiage. Hey, I mean, look, it's what they got. This at this point, what argument can you make against Sony? Just put your games on Xbox, and then more games on Nintendo at this point, because I mean you're running out of games to remaster. And by the way, they don't even do remasters or remake of like PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, or PlayStation 1. They just sold you the fucking PlayStation 4 catalog to you again. All right, and they say, oh, if you want new games, you gotta buy games. By the way, that a lot of y'all apparently should already own. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't own them, and that's why they keep reselling this shit. Because they're like, yo, somebody buy these fucking games already, so we could move on, so we could have enough money to move on, right? Because I mean, I was at loss for words when I saw this morning. Coco Fiend said, yeah, about to enjoy my weekend, bro. And yes, I agree with that hot take. PS5 is the worst PlayStation console. I even think it's the worst console of this generation, Coco Fiend. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. I don't care what gimmicks they put into that controller with the 2-hour battery life. I don't care how many remasters they make to trick you into thinking the console has games. I don't even care how many games Xbox puts on PlayStation. The PlayStation 5 still fucking sucks because even with those Xbox games on PlayStation, you could still play it on Game Pass on Xbox, and you could buy it anytime. Usually at a discount. Usually at a deep discount for a lot of them. So I don't even, So Nintendo, Xbox has both done things this generation that I'm not a big fan of. Ideally I wouldn't want, the fanboy in me wouldn't want Xbox to put their games elsewhere. But like Phil said, it was either put our games on other platforms or raise the price. And they chose the pro consumer move of having letting more people play their games. Cool. Because I know for damn sure if Phil would have sold Starfield for $80-$90, which they could have been, because I still play Starfield. That's how big that game is. Y'all would have lost your fucking minds. And Craig Simmons said, "You better buy The Last of Us 1 and 2 for the 1,000th time for 100. You get what you get. You won't get games unless Xbox give them. I mean, you won't get games unless Xbox give it to you." Absolutely spot on there, Craig. Absolutely spot on. And again, The Last of Us. this is what it kills me, Craig. That we're talking about a game series where both of their games has been remastered already, has been resold to you already, and Sony's out here like, yo, we got nothing. So hey guys, how can we make more money? Let's. I mean, there's milk in the cow, but this Last of Us cow, that thing is bone is dead. It's dead. There's no more fucking milk to get out of them udders, right? That thing is squirting dust at this point. Because listen, this shit ain't gonna sell. It can't. Because the 10 million people who played the PlayStation 4 version, and I remember it was 10 million because Colin Moriarty was like, "That's it. That's all they sold was 10 million." Why would they buy this shit again? They just bought it like a year ago when it was remastered. The Last of Us, if you like the first one, you really aren't buying that shit because you already bought it on the PS3, PS4, and PS5, and you lie to yourself that it's the best game ever made. PS5 Blow says the PlayStation 5 and PS5 Pro VRR is defective. One frame loss every 8 seconds. That's 15 stutters every 2 minutes. Boom! There you go. Thank you for that information, PS5 Blow. And by the way, here's why the PlayStation. Because if y'all remember, the PlayStation 5 did not launch with VRR. It's not built in the way it is on the Series S and X. So when it got an over-the-air update, it doesn't really have that true HDR to the way Xbox does it, which is why, just like its HDR is inferior, just like everything about it, it's inferior. Their VRR is that defective, and it's not even worth. Not even worth it. It's not even worth it. And Cray said, "What's up, people?" Cray said, "I haven't turned my PS5 on to play games. I just update it in case a game comes out on it." Yeah, same here. Look, Cray. I'm like, look, my PlayStation 5 is clearly just taking up space. I might as well just sell the damn thing because when I say I don't touch it, Craig, there's no reason to. All right, just none. Because and then my thing is like, if you're, to me, it's even worse if you're a hardcore PlayStation fan because you already own the games they've been reselling you these last 5 years, so you're just playing the same shit you played 10 years ago, right? So how is that exciting? How is that interesting? You know, so PlayStation fans, y'all can sit there and be like, "Oh, the June showcase, we don't need a showcase because Xbox June showcase is going to give us all these games." Hey, if that's how you want to cope with it, be my guest. Because on Xbox, at least Xbox has shit to put out there. Sony is so dry; they're reselling you the shit that they just resold to you last year, 2 years ago, however long it was. Crazy said, "Play both. Beat both, done with both." Exactly, Craig. Exactly. And then for the people, and what's even more confusing, because people, I always hear this excuse with remasters, especially remasters for something like this, which just came out a couple years ago, right? Oh, but this is an opportunity for someone who never owned it to buy it. The games are already on the. You could go on the PlayStation Store right now and buy those fucking games. So why is it being resold to you? That you see how that makes no sense? Again, if it was like a PlayStation 3 game, PS2, PS1, I could get that. As a matter of fact, that's what people want. That's the type of remasters, remakes people want. Because those games are either hard to find, not easy accessible, and since since PlayStation don't have backwards compatibility with PlayStation 3, 2, or 1, it gives you opportunity to play those games, right? On current hardware. But no, Sony can't even do that. They gotta resell this garbage. And PlayStation 5 Blow says, Pony can ask for new games in one hand and shit in the other. See which one fills up first. Yeah, that's a good phrase. That's a good phrase. But that's spot on. That is spot on because listen. When you got former execs saying, "Look, if you want new games, buy our old shit." I can't think of this. I can't think of this in any other context to even give an example or an analogy to PS5 blows. That's how absurd this is. You know that's how absurd this is. Again, Nintendo. I am not by any stretch of imagination justifying Nintendo's price increase. I already talked about that last week. Matter of fact, why that's an issue. But at least those $80 games is going to be some new games. Sony is selling The Last of Us for $100 for two games that one is 12 years old and the other is 5 years old. That they already, and then they already sold you those games at premium prices years ago. They remastered the game, they remade the first game at $70 and had $100 edition. And same with the Last of Us 2. So and then you got these people who have the goal. Listen, I don't understand how people still bring up Don Matrick and his infamous words, but ignore stuff like this. If you want new games, buy our old shit. That's more insulting than if you can't afford our new console, keep the old one. Yeah, it's software VRR and it's broken. Yeah, man, it's as broken as their other VR, virtual reality that nobody bought. And the Batman, the Darkest Night, the homie Batman said, "I'd rather have Killzone or Resistance Collection over The Last of Us." Exactly, Batman. Exactly. And do you think Sony would do that? No. And that see, if they announced today, yo, we got the Killzone Remaster Collection or the Resistance Remastered Collection, cool. You know, I wouldn't be making this video right now because that would actually be something that people ask for. But nah. So Sony ain't gonna do that. Instead, they remastered Horizon Zero Entertainment, charged $10 if you already own the PlayStation 4 version. They remastered Days Gone this year, and then I think they charged $10 for that. They resold Ghost of Tsushima. They resold Death Stranding to you bitches. At what point does a PlayStation like this is? I promise you, if I was a PlayStation owner, I would be like, all right, let me. Xbox can't be that bad. You know, there's got to be something on. I see why that Sir Bruv dude or whatever his name is jumped ship. Because he spent the last 5 years on his PlayStation playing his PlayStation 4 games at a slightly higher resolution, and Sony has to nurse to charge him because there's no smart delivery there. There's no free upgrades there. There's no you put the disc in your console and it automatically recognizes which version to install there. It's the same shit over and over and over and over at a premium price. At a so like they have the gall to charge $100 for them two bullshit ass games. In my opinion, two of the most overrated games, but that'd be hypocritical of me because I'm never going to play The Last of Us. No interest in it. You know, I've played the PlayStation games that interested in, and the only ones that blew me away was Gravity Rush 1 and 2. That's how bland the Sony library is. I mean, absolutely, this is absolutely absurd. And by the way, stuff like this is why sometimes this is why as much as I'm not super console worry either, this is why I kind of wish Xbox didn't always have that kumbaya side to them. That hey, you can play your games everywhere side, and use this as an example of why Game Pass is better. Just put out a tweet that's like, hey, we don't charge $100 for old games on this platform. Matter of fact, for $20, you can subscribe to our highest tier subscription service and access to 500 games. You know, and I saw that Xbox got some free to play game that was coming. I think it was previously on PlayStation and PC. That's coming later this year. Zenless Zone Zero. I saw that. I'm not into those free. If it didn't have free to play, I would have given it a try. Man, I can't fuck with free to play games. They 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 uh they also got ridiculous money. I mean, the way that free to play games make their money is always microtransactions. So they're always super aggressive with it. Too aggressive for my taste. Yeah, but back to my main point here. Back to my main point. So in July, by the way, Sony has had no games this year. Indiana Jones, an Xbox game, is going to be their biggest launch next week of the year. Next week, and then you gotta wait till fucking July to pay $100 or $110 for a game you already own. PlayStation sucks, man. PlayStation is awful, and I don't care that the casuals buy it. I don't care if they say they sold 80 million consoles um, next week. the 75 million they claim now, however much it is. I don't care. That doesn't change the fact that that's 75 million people who bought paperweight, basically. Well, I can't say paperweight. That thing is too damn big to be paperweight, right? And let's be real. They bought to play fucking Fortnite and GTA. None. Zero games. Yeah, Zinc. They listen, PlayStation fans. When you hype an Xbox game, you know that doesn't bother me or really bother any of us. Really, like we're over that. You know what I'm saying? We're over that. My only beef with it was when Phil was saying Indiana Jones wasn't going to go, and then it turned out it did. But other than that lie, we're over that shit. So it don't mean nothing. It's like, hey, cool. You're gonna drop like $100, $70 on Indiana Jones. You're gonna enjoy it like we enjoyed it, and put more money in Xbox pocket so they can fund more games. Because Xbox has hey, you can't argue that. Notice, by the way, have y'all noticed how we haven't heard Xbox has no games in like 2 years now? Really, it's like since 2023, because 2023, that's when they had Starfield, Redfall, and Hi-Fi Rush and all that stuff. Ever since that year, notice how Xbox has no games died. Well, I mean, we could say flat out, PlayStation definitely have no games. I mean, it is dry, dry, dry over there. You know what I'm saying? If I had the choice between playing on PlayStation or drinking water in the Sahara Desert, I'll find water in the Sahara Desert before I find a PlayStation game. That's how dry it is on that shitty console. Yeah, I know. I'm a little out of character today because I don't usually talk this much shit. But PlayStation deserves it. Paperweight, yeah, Cray. Eh, listen, if you own a, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Um, I don't know what's carrying. I guess the brand name is carrying Sony at this point because this console sucks, man, and it's absurd that they're going to charge so much um for these two bullshit old ass games. Absolutely nonsense. The Last of Us complete bundle announced as Sony figures out new ways to sell these games again. Even the media is tired of that shit, man. And then Sony cancels Last of Us factions. You don't even get that. You know what I'm saying? They don't give you some DLC or something. They don't give you a demo to a new one. It's just reselling the old garbage again and again. And they've been doing. Here's the thing: this is not nothing new. That's the crazy part. This isn't anything new. They've done this all generation. All generation. Sony has been selling you the same the PlayStation 4 library. I don't even understand why it's the PlayStation 4 library they're reselling. The generation that just ended. Zink said, then Sony fans will pay extra for early access to a 4-year-old Xbox game. Yeah, and then try to use that as a haha. Look at this Xbox. We're playing your game on our console. Go ahead, have fun. Thank you. Dropping $70 in Microsoft's pocket so we could get more games. By the way, did y'all see the Outer Worlds 2? That game looked phenomenal. That gameplay was brilliant. I love the Outer Worlds 1. Beat it. I have some gameplay on my channel as well. Beat it years ago. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I can't wait for the Outer Worlds 2. Obsidian's doing their thing. Like the Switch 2, I'm not buying another PlayStation console. I have a great PC for the few games that that is, and Nintendo has that I might get little play on PC later. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but sorry, I got tongue tied of reading it. Yeah. Same here, Craig. Same here, Craig. I'm not a FOMO guy. Fear of missing out. So I don't need to buy the latest console. I'm not going to play, and that's why I reiterate. I only have a PlayStation 5 because my brother gave it to me, just in case people who are listening to me for the first time, like, hey, well, you spent $500. No, I did not. I was not buying a PlayStation 5. I play my Xbox all the time, and if I don't, I might jump on the PC here or there, or use my little handheld here and there. But other than that, I'm the Xbox dude. You know, but as a PlayStation 4, and here's the thing. When I did get my PlayStation 5, I wanted to like those games. I did not buy the Horizon games, expecting it to suck. I was like, you know what? They're open world games. I'm a huge fan of open world. I think I'm gonna like this. Play it, and it's like, no, this is horseshit. Absolutely love superhero games. Played Spider Man Miles Morales. The gameplay is actually dope, but Miles Morales is such a bitch. I can't stomach him. I need to play. I can only play as the homie Peter Parker. I gotta play as Peter, man, because I can't stomach Miles Morales bitch ass, man. Too whiny. Play. My brother gave me a copy of God of War Ragnarok. Played that for like 30 minutes to an hour. I was like, ugh, no. Gravity Rush 1 and 2 are fantastic though. And then here's the kicker: those games are fantastic. Nobody bought them, and Sony shuts down Japan studios. I messed up with the writing. This little ass keypad on my phone. My bad. Yeah. That one was I think I got the gist of what you're saying though. I'm not buying the Switch 2 either. My PlayStation was I only have it because it was given to me. And then when I buy PlayStation games, I only buy them $20 and under because PlayStation games they go on sale very regularly. Matter of fact, we should be expecting a spring sale from these consoles for Xbox soon, and PlayStation you have a spring sale at the same time, if I remember correctly. So we should have some good deals coming up game wise in probably a week or so. So look out for that. But yeah. But I mean, either way, Craig, this is just more proof to me that the PlayStation 5, worst console this generation. Um, Nothing. I mean, there's just nothing to it. And then even the sequels they're making aren't don't hit like that. They clearly don't hit like the original games because nobody talked about them. They played them for the weekend, beat it, and then moved on to talking about Xbox. That's pretty much been the tone of this generation. So I mean, so if there are any PlayStation fans listening, let me know what you even like about this damn console at this point. I mean, I've heard more praise about the PlayStation 5 controller than I have PlayStation 5 games. And that's an issue. That's an issue when a gimmicky controller is to starve your console. Because this ain't sustainable. This isn't sustainable. And by the way, this proves people like Zinc like 200% right because Zinc has always said Sony has they don't have no live service games, no return ROI, return on investment with their games. People don't buy their games like that. I mean, if people were buying their games, they wouldn't have an issue pumping out more games. They'd be able to afford all this shit, even with these bloated gaming. Oh, and by the way, that's another point. Okay, Sony, you don't have games. Why are you not making smaller games? South of the Midnight, $40. Hi-Fi Rush when that came out, that was what $30, $40. In between the games like Avowed, which are full price games, and your Call of Duties, Microsoft has given us great smaller budget games as well. And again, they've been doing that all generation games like the Gunk, South of Midnight, Ravenlock. These are not full price $70 games, but yet they're fantastic. They're usually shorter, which is fine because they're at a lower price point, right? And Sony's not even doing that. Okay, you don't have the game to release smaller AA games. Then. But not every game's got to be this big, massive $200 million 8 year to produce blockbuster. Gaming is great when you have a variety, Sony, but you don't know what variety is. All you know is third person story driven game. That's it. And then now that, and by the way, people are clearly sick of it this generation because A, you have none, and B, you're reselling the same shit. And C, even the ones you have released haven't been great. So you don't even do nothing creative or different. Crazy Simmons says PlayStation 5 is very disappointing outside of God of War, Spider Man 2, and Stellar Blade. It has nothing, at least for me. Yeah, exactly, Craig. And then games like Stellar Blade they didn't buy. Oh, but it sold a million units. Sony says the console sold 71, however fucking million units they sold. If only 1 million of the PlayStation 5 owners bought it, that means that the 74 million don't give a fuck about Stellar Blade. All right, I guess they don't like big titty anime bitches. Huh? Recurring profits. Thank you, Zink. This is why I love people like Zink, man. Me and Zink were on the same wavelength. We both kind of more love the economic side of this stuff. But yeah, that's why I love when Zink here and talks because he's always extremely knowledgeable. Hey, Andy Chipmunk, what's up, homie? Batman said, "Hey, Young Unlimited, what was your first console? Mine is the Sega Genesis. Yes, that's also my first console, my friend. Yeah, man, I was a Sega kid thanks to the Sega Genesis. And when I got mine, Batman, it was bundled with Sonic the Hedgehog, the first one. So yeah, so my story probably pretty common for many '90s gamers. First console was the Genesis. First game was Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's why I'm a gamer now, thanks to a Sega. Now, now with me, where it probably differentiates a bit is that I was the only kid on the block that had the Sega Saturn. Used to love the Sega Saturn as a kid, even though again, when you're a kid, you don't have that many games, but still, that Sega Saturn was a beast. Love that console. You know, had the Dreamcast, and more people did have Dreamcast, but it still wasn't the same. Like everybody had the PS2. Some people had the Dreamcast, but nobody had the Saturn. I was the only one on the block I knew, and I thought that console was amazing at the time. But yeah, man, I was a Sega kid before I became an Xbox guy. Oh, but what is your favorite game on the Genesis, Batman? For me, it's Mortal Kombat One. I just never, I'll never forget all the shit talking I did with the Nintendo fans, like how we had the one with the blood and all that other stuff. Um, just such a great time. Yeah, yeah, Zink. I know. Your first was Pong in 1976. Yeah, for those who don't know, Zink invented gaming. He was the first. He was first in line to play Pong. That's how old school Zink is. He was there from day one. Sony is broke. Couldn't buy Katawaka and Kata Katakawa. I mean, and I believe that those are the people who own From Software and all that. Even though they wanted to sell everything. Also, canceling games not a good sign. Yo, PS5 blow. Sony canceled like 10 games, man. Anthony Chickmont, what's up? Man, let me see something. Let me see if I can find the list here. All right, let's take a look. Let's look at this list of Sony canceled live service PlayStation 5 games. Paint a wearing picture. All right, how many of the 12 confirmed projects are still alive? Look at this shit. The Last of Us multiplayer, which was factions, was canceled. There was the Spider-Man multiplayer game, I guess, was canceled. London Studios live service game canceled. Twisted Metal canceled. Helldivers 2. Okay, that's one. Payback from Bungie canceled. Concord dead. Concord, you might as well call it canceled because that shit didn't last a week. Concord didn't last a week. Live service game from Ben Studio canceled. Live service God of War game canceled. Fair game announced that's just going to get canceled. Marathon, okay, that's two. That's two. And Horizon, ain't going to be Horizon multiplayer is not going to be released. So yeah, dead console right there. But this is what they want. Yeah, damn, exactly, Craig. But see, this is why we used to say Sony would kill. They would give their firstborn child to be in Microsoft position gaming wise. Do you know what they would give it to own Activision and Bethesda? They would give their first, second, and third born child for that because they can't do multiplayer. They can't do multiplayer at all. Batman said my favorite Sega Genesis game is Splatterhouse. Ooh, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. I never played. Excuse me. I never played Splatterhouse. Dark Knights. Yeah, but check out. But there's been a lot of Sega Genesis collections released over the years, though. Excuse me. Craig Simmons again. He said, "Damn, yeah, man." Because Sony can't do multiplayer, and now that they can't rely on Call of Duty to fund games, because now the millions and millions of people making Call of Duty the highest selling game on PlayStation every year goes to Microsoft pockets. Cray, that now they don't get that money like that. Oh, but 30%, 30%. Somebody tell PlayStation fans 70% is more than 30%, because I don't think they understand that when they say things like, "Well, Sony gets 30% of the revenue cut," and how much does it go to the rest, to Xbox then, Microsoft? Think PlayStation. Well, okay, I guess thinking is too hard for them, but yeah. But anyway, this is Sony in a nutshell, man. Can't release games, can't do multiplayer games, need live service games to fund future games, but can't do that. And so they're stuck reselling you the same shit over and over that you already own, most likely, that you've already played. Or if you did, oh, by the way, that's another thing. If you never bought The Last of Us 3 generations in a row, you're not buying it now. And you're definitely not buying it for $100 fucking. That's for damn sure. You're definitely not spending $100, because if you didn't buy it when it was on the PlayStation 3, when it was $60, or when it was remastered and bundled with the PlayStation 4, or when it was remade on the PlayStation 5, you're not buying it now. You know what I'm saying? You are not buying it now. And same with all these other remasters. You could get hell. Why even buy the remaster if the PlayStation 4 version is cheaper? Those dudes can't do simple math. No, they can't. No, they can't. Because the amount of times that I've heard them say, "But we make more money because we get 30% of the revenue share." I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't even talk to you when you're that clueless. Just no. But still, man, it just all harkens back, right? It all harkens back to that the PlayStation 5. I mean, the PlayStation 5 sucks, and I'm going to, when they do stuff like this, when they release a games they already remade and remastered, and they're reselling it to you again. Yeah, I'm gonna call it out. I'm gonna call this shit out. I mean, look at these. Even the headlines and the articles are kind of sick of this shit. You know, and everybody's like, "Ah, but it's the TV show. They got to sell it with the TV show." Again, the games are already on the PlayStation Store, and you could buy the PlayStation 4 versions at a cheaper price. There is no reason whatsoever that Sony is doing what they're doing. Well, ponies can't read. Math is out of the question. Ah, damn, PS4. PS5. He's saying they dumb and illiterate. They can't read. They can't do math. Shit, no, no wonder. Hey, maybe they think $100 is less than $70 because one is smaller than seven. You know what I'm saying? Because it's dude. I don't know how they survived the PlayStation 6. Look, there's going to be a PlayStation 6. I don't know how they move forward, man, because the strategy of releasing no games. what what are they going to remaster in the PlayStation 6 generation? There's nothing on the PlayStation 5 to remaster in 2 years when the next generation starts. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Remaster Spider-Man 2? Remaster God of War Ragnarok? Don't let me give them ideas. Because after that, after they remaster Horizon Forbidden Entertainment, that's it. There ain't nothing else to remaster. Should have said, I'm really surprised that Sony are doing this again. They have lost their minds and are just praying for something to stick. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And this to me, stuff like this just exposes a lot from Sony. It exposes that those games aren't selling like that. It exposes that they don't have games. You know what I'm saying? It's just no, because if everything was in line, they wouldn't be canceling. They wouldn't be canceling all these live service games. You know what I'm saying? There would be something more, right? And let me see if I could find an old article. Yeah, give me a second, guys, because I want to see if I could find an old article. Uh, well, here's a good lie from Jim Ryan. We'll make sure the PlayStation 5 generation has more exclusive software than ever before. Yeah, that's a fucking lie. But that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for. Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Ah man, see, this is see. There's. I remember at the beginning of the generation, someone from Sony, maybe most likely Jim Ryan, was saying how how they're going to have less games. You know what I'm saying? How they're going to have less exclusive games than usual. And boy, were they telling the truth there? Were they telling the truth there, big time? Others think says 70% greater than 30. Yeah, I mean for us normal thinking people, we know that. But you know, tell that to PlayStation fans. They swear that 30% Sony's getting. It means that Microsoft is the one who needs them. Oh, that's another thing that's been exposed. This idea that man, Xbox just needs Sony to survive. It's pretty obvious it's the other way around at this point. I mean, because if y'all didn't have, I mean, what would they have to play if they didn't have Forza Horizon and Indiana Jones this month? Nothing. They'll be still be playing Fortnite and Call of Duty again. Oh, they'll milk all those just the same. Yeah, yeah. It's like yeah, this and look, I'll be here to talk about the PlayStation 6 being worse than the PlayStation 5 somehow if that happens. It's just no. I know that Factions game had potential. I still don't get why they can't. They just want the easiest money they can get. Um well, let's remember just no. Bungie took a look at Factions and said it was garbage. And that was probably the death nail there. Yeah. Yep. Faction Bungie. Bungie took a look at factions. And then Sony had the layoffs right after that. But yeah, I'm not just. Oh my goodness, these sites, man. I use ad blocker for a reason. But yeah, let's not forget. Oh fuck it, I hate ads. Bungie reportedly reviewed the Last of Us faction and found it lacking. So that's why us just know that even if it had potential, Bungie saw that shit like, what is this horse shit, Neil Drunkman? And Sony laid people off, and boom, that game was dead. Oh, the homie Vontae, man, Vontae, what's up, my dude? He said, wasn't looking at my phone. Thought you was starting in like 10 minutes. Nah. I started an hour early. I was gonna start at 6. Then I finished up work, got home. I realized that it was almost 5. Like, let me just talk about it now. You know. But yeah, man, I hope you had a good one, man, and hope you had a good week. But yeah, but back to the point, just know, um, that's why we didn't see factions. Bungie didn't like it. Layoffs. Boom. Game is dead. And so enjoyed the Tombstone. Uh, I'm gonna start calling this the Sony graveyard or something. You got a Sony graveyard of dead multiplayer games that you see on screen. Because that's. And by the way, are people going to talk about the Last of Us factions in 10 years like they do Scalebound? Because my goodness, even after this year's developer direct, when it turned out Ninja Theory, not Ninja Theory, when it turned out Platinum Games was working on Ninja Gaiden 4, that's what I was thinking of. Um, People were like, man, but is Scalebound going to come back? No, that game's dead, Xbox fans. Let that game die, please. Bungie told Naughty Dog about the upkeep of a live service game, and Naughty Dog chose to work on Deep Galactic. Yeah, pretty much, Zinc. Because because it ain't easy to keep live service games going, and it's not Sony's strength. It's not their forte. And that's what used to kill me when people said, well, Sony could just release Resistance to compete with Call of Duty or Killzone. Like, no, first of all, if those games were successful, they'd still be around now. And two, no, Sony would have screwed them up. Hell, they had some success with Helldivers and ruined that game with a lot of the moves they did. And by the way, that game was more successful on PC than PlayStation. Let's not forget that. So the PlayStation fans were not playing Helldivers 2. Right, others think they didn't want to put in the effort. Yeah, look, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. I know Microsoft has Halo, Gears, Call of Duty, Forza. All these games that have longevity that last for years. Flight Simulator, right? To where they make it look easy, but it ain't easy to run live service games. Now, the pros of hitting on a live service games is that like Zeke says, you make the money, you keep the money. And the same way Xbox Live has funded a lot of things at Xbox, so do these live service games. You know, and that's the beauty of it. But since Sony can't do it, and they can't rely on Call of Duty, they might try to rely on GTA 6 and GTA Online. We'll see what happens there. But even then, that game's going to Xbox, and most of the money's going to go to Take Two. So there's no simple solution. There's no win-win solution, right? Resistance compete with COD. Did they? Yeah, man, they used to say that for real. Just no. They used to 100% say stuff like we don't need COD, Call of Duty. Sony could just release Resistance to compete with it. That delusional takes like that, and it's like, what multiplayer do they have? Clearly none, because they just they cancel all of them except for Helldivers 2. And Marathon's probably I think is going to be shown off soon, but that's going to come to Xbox. Yo, Go Poe, what's up, man? But that's coming to Xbox. Marathon's coming to Xbox anyway. So, and it's not like a timed exclusive or something either. It's coming day one. Word up. Right, Xbox has been doing multiplayer live service games for years. Sony copies and paste method last generation is biting them. Yeah, exactly. They jumped into a ring, but they don't know how to box. They thought their little class at the YMCA made them the equivalent of a heavyweight boxer, and now they're getting their ass whooped by true professionals. That's what we're digging at, man. Marathon, the car killer. Yeah. Everything's the Call of Duty killer that Sony does. I dig the look of Marathon. What I thought they aren't showing it off till tomorrow. It's just no. I thought Marathon's gonna have a stream tomorrow. Let me see. Yeah. Gameplay is coming tomorrow. So if you've seen something that I haven't, let me know. I'll take a look at it. But yeah. Look, do you guys think Marathon is going to even be something like Destiny? Which I'm not a Destiny fan, but at least it did well enough. I think I think because it did get it. Well, no, they canceled Destiny 3, so I don't know how good them fucking games are doing because Destiny 3 got canceled. Destiny 3 needs to join the Sony graveyard of canceled live service games. Well, maybe it hasn't been canceled, just delayed. I don't know. All I know is that Destiny 2 came out like 8 years ago, and there's still no Destiny 3. So that kind of, and I'm pretty sure Destiny 2 ain't it popping like that 8 years later. Should no Leak said, I don't like there's no single player option for Marathon. No. Okay, yes, just gonna be multiplayer only. Yeah, that's not going to be ideal for a lot of people. However, I will say this: just know for a lot of those games, those type of multiplayer games, it is a situation where people barely play the campaign. That's why even COD tried to remove it at one point, uh, but that didn't go well. I don't know. It feels incomplete for a game to just be multiplayer. And then another issue is that when it's only multiplayer, when the game eventually dies out and they release Marathon 2, it'll get shut down, and then you have a game that you pretty much bought for nothing. That's something that don't sit right with people. It's kind of like Crossfire. Well, Crossfire X had a campaign. That shit is still dead. So we'll see. He said just what I've seen of it. Oh, okay. I enjoy Destiny a lot, but only play campaign and single player missions. Marathon don't look to be as big as a game as Destiny. Yeah, yeah. It seems. I mean, honestly, it seems like another space based shooter. So I'm not gonna lie. Part of me kind of feels like Bungie's just living off Halo. They just can't call it Halo no more since they left Microsoft. But they just keep releasing different versions of Halo, which is i.e. a space based multiplayer shooter. But I could be wrong because again, I don't play Destiny, and I'm probably not going to play Marathon realistically. Destiny was very good, excellent control. However, with no single player mode, good luck. Wait, oh no. Oh, okay, I get what Zeke is saying. He's saying Destiny was good, however, no single player mode for Marathon. Good luck. Yeah. I see that. I think I'm agreeing with that. Just with no single player, I'm out. Yeah, a lot of people are going to feel that way, Zink. A lot of people are going to feel that way. Um, I listen. I don't think it's going to be Concord bad because that was just like uniquely terrible. But it ain't going to be Destiny big either. That's my prediction for Marathon. It's going to be one of those games. You know what Marathon's going to be? It's going to be one of those games where in 5 years, just no elite going to be like, man, I enjoyed Marathon. It was underrated. That's the type of game I can see it being. Because shout out to Shizno, and this is why I love gamers like Shizno. He likes everything, and I respect the hell out of that. Because I try to be like that too, more positive on the games, except for shit like this. Don't charge $100 for old ass games and think I'm not gonna say nothing, Sony. I draw the line at that bullshit. Yo, Sega man, what's up, man? Oh, nothing much, Sega man. Just having unlimited hangout, hanging out with the chat on this wonderful Friday afternoon. Had a great week of work, man. Saw this news this morning. I had to talk about it because I was stunned. Sony is reselling The Last of Us, and, and what's crazy about them reselling it, Sega man, is that these are games that they literally already resold this generation, right? And then but we ended up but now we're talking about Bungie Marathon and all that stuff. Will this be the first successful, by the way, guys, what is Sony's most successful multiplayer game? I'm curious because even in the PlayStation 3 era, I guess it would be Resistance, huh? Did they have multiplayer? I'm not again. Sega Man played Resist because he always said he liked the Resistance series. I didn't play it, even though I had a PlayStation 3. Before I lost my original collection and unfortunately lost my consoles, my S7 gen consoles at the time. I was barely playing the PlayStation 3 at the time too. It's kind of similar to what's going on now, where I play my Xbox all the time. That's how it was with the 360 era. So I fully admit the games that I was playing was stuff like the Infamous 1 and 2. I remember those being pretty good. Um, what else did I play from the PlayStation? I played Heavenly Sword was a fun hack and slash game from Ninja Theory. But games like Lear and Maginot, that shit was garbage. You know what I'm saying? That shit was awful. They had a lot of them awful exclusives in that era. Segment saying what's up to Zink. It's a nice day here in Bama. Hope everyone's going well. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a nice spring day in Texas as well. Um, Yo, she's the leading unlimited mention saying they play everything. Yeah, well, I don't beat as many games as Shizno though. I don't beat. I'm not. I'm trying to catch up on beating more games like that, like Shizno do, man. Shizno's like Sega man. He'd be hitting me up in the chat like, "Yo, I beat this and it was great," and I respect the hell out of that. So your boy Unlimited, you know, but I'm getting there. I'm still loving these games. You know what it is? I play long ass games. That's what takes me forever to beat everything. I be playing these because I play my favorite genres are RPGs and open world games, and y'all know that especially open world games since the eighth generation, and they got these massive worlds now. So that's what takes me so long to beat a lot of games. Yeah, Sony dove into multiplayer in PS3. but totally different than PlayStation 4. No kidding. I beat 1, 2, and 3, the only game I like for the PlayStation 3. And there it is. Sega Man said, look, and yeah, Sega Man has always said that, man. He liked the Resistance series back on the PlayStation 3. Um, yeah. But see, with the PlayStation 3, I despise that controller, especially the six axis one, the one that where they took out the rumble and Sony lied and all that bullshit. I that's the worst console controller ever released, at least in modern gaming. Maybe there was some worse in the '80s or some shit, but since I've been alive, ooh, that PlayStation 3 controller was unusable. You know, the PlayStation 4 and 5 controllers, they're way they're better because they're bigger, but even those controllers, they need to excuse me. They need to have the offset the asymmetrical thumbsticks like Xbox controller. Get with the time, Sony. We're getting resistance games were fun. It was hard to get past the controller though. Yeah, yeah, I couldn't. Oh, I despised it. I despised it. Like Sony, it is. Sony's been putting gimmicks in their controllers for generations now, and they all either suck or kill the battery. You know, I'm one of those people. I was not blown away by the even the current one uh, with all the battery killing features. I'm just like, they are not. This shit is not enhancing gaming like that. Hell, some of this shit I gotta turn off because it's just that damn abrasive. Yeah, those PS3 controllers sucked. Oh, they're unusable. They're unusable, man. And Xbox perfected the controller, just tweaks it every generation. And that's how it should be. I don't need that shit to be revolutionized when it's that damn good. Uh, you know, that's how I feel about. But Sony, in my opinion, it's a brand that seems to just get worse and worse. Well, may I don't know. Maybe the PlayStation 4 was better than the PlayStation 3 era. Don't know, but I could say with full confidence, the PlayStation 5 worst Sony console ever, worst console of the generation. Um, and I just don't other than the name brand alone, and probably because it's available in more places than Xbox. That's the only reason I could see why it's selling. This is garbage, and PlayStation fans aren't buying these games. There's no PlayStation game that has this huge attachment rate um, to the console like that. If you when you think about it, and there's a reason why Sony don't talk about anything but console sales. Notice how they don't talk about video game sales anymore. Like they were even doing that shit last generation. With that said, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for joining on this week's edition of the Unlimited Hangout. Um, there's been a lot of gaming news recently. There's been a lot of gaming news recently, so it's been great to be back doing the Unlimited Truth and the Unlimited Hangout, and just catching up with you guys. And Zink said, "Unlimited chat. I have to go. Put out a few fires. Have a great rest of the show." Oh, the show's over. I'm about to wrap it up right now, Zink. IMO, the do sense it's the most comfortable controller Sony has made, but still can't beat the Xbox controller. Agreed 100%, just now. But everybody in the chat, you guys have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. Um, Enjoy all the great games that's out there that we're playing right now. My plan this weekend: beat South of Midnight and jump back into my Assassin's Creed Shadow. That's my plan for this weekend. You guys have a good one, and I am out.